Today is June 6, 2026. I have been going over my videos from 2023. There's a lot of information. For the investigators, just to pull it up real quick, because it's an FBI case. Save them some time if I'm going through it. Plus, back in January, after Henry Maffei showed up, I wrote the president, the White House. I wrote FBI Internal Affairs. And where these people are breaking, they're trying to get the case thrown out. I wrote the Department of Justice, the OPR. And I wrote the White House again. President Trump and Vice President Vance has issued attack on fraud schemes. They launched a large arrest here in Ohio. Over 9 people have stolen over $1 billion from the Ohioans. And it is mean, but I'm going to say it anyways. It's direct. The people here in Ohio are stupid. They're stupid, and they con them out of money, and a lot of it. There are life savings. They know better. They are U.S. citizens. No one can be in your home but police and agencies under a threat of life with statements in a court order. There's HIPAA violations. None of your doctors can talk about you without their consent. They go to jail. People can't drug you for fake confessions, Photoshop. They run fraud schemes on all kinds of people. They have stolen over $1 billion from Ohioans alone. And that's where people need to stop falling for these drug dealers' tricks. Stop being stupid. Stop it. Over $1 billion. I was looking at the pictures of the people. This one guy, I think his name was Chris. He looked real familiar. Of like one of the mean, scary guys. There was also a young African-American girl. Looked like years ago, was younger. Looked like she was with the Judge Peters group. She has ties to South Florida. So she may have been with the Florida drug cartel. She was here in Ohio scamming people out of money. So was the other guy. An investigator said that they have wondered if those people that are running those large fraud schemes, if they weren't paying for everything. Makes you wonder. I seen an orange vet. I had an orange vet around me. Seen several of the other cars that are around me. If it's not them, there's people that look just like them. Okay? Now, I have been finding, and since there's the people of the Department of Justice is having them go after these people, finding the dates and the times for them to find the surveillance real quick of what these people are running this fraud scheme on me. Okay? Because in 23, I worked up in Akron on Forest Grove Drive. Okay? And there's investigators, okay, knocking on doors saying, have you ever listened to Karen before? Yes, because I sold a login. Did she ever mention Agent John says his name? Yeah. We thought it was him. We tried to contact the FBI. They wouldn't answer our questions. We don't want you to say anything to her. Everything's documented and verified. Everything was photoshopped on her before. How they do it? We don't know. But it is photoshopped. It's documented. Found the date for that one. Found the date when the cartel outside illegally bugged a car in my phone, where they were yelling stuff down the street. That when they walk by, that the drug dealers they hired to watch her before, they don't even find this funny. Did she do anything wrong? No. The drug dealers already confessed they photoshopped everything and made fun of the FBI for falling for it. Are they going to do anything about it? We don't know, but none of this is funny. They even went to our ex-husband, and he admitted to them he knew it was medical malpractice, fraud, and medication errors that made her sick before. And they did encourage them to sue those doctors for years. And he didn't say a word and let all those people hurt her. Now this is funny. I found that date too. And I found the day of where they were up there selling the login. This rich guy, it was priceless. He had a hick accent. These are extremely wealthy people. And he's screaming down this big, huge street. What is this? Some kind of government conspiracy? Selling government technology? Stealing from victims, then paying people to make fun of them? I thought, yes, the hick got it. Absolutely. I also found the date of when I was in a store. The investigators, actually, it's October 6, 23. Walmart 62 may have it. May still have it. Of where they talk to the men that watch me, those officers that watch her? Yes. For the case, yes. They said that one girl that's breaking that he stealing for her, it's one of the guys from the case's girlfriend. He's been stealing all kinds of money for her so she won't tell his wife. And he's been stealing from the case. Okay? And these people, the only thing that they have is their stalking tapes of where they've already confessed. They drugged her and told her to say it before. And that tape of Weird With Yourself is just photoshopped her washing in the shower in their own stalking tapes. And that's all they have. Okay? That was back in 23. Okay. October 6, 23. Before 10 in the morning, between 8 and 10. I say 7 to 10. It's probably still have it. It's Walmart. Tape and audio in every aisle. Okay. When the case first started, within a month, I went into Walmart 62 by the hair salon. There is a white man with black hair. He's short. Walking by doing the mean, like, stompy thing out. Saying a bunch of crazy crap. Okay. And they said now that him and his drama is gone. We can take care of these people they hired to hurt her. Hold on a second, let's see who's outside. Okay. And they said he can deal with his own drama himself. Okay. And okay. Now there's one saying we don't feed into religious heresy. September 10th, 25, Tuscarawas County Courthouse, prosecutor's office. Behind the prosecutor's door, I want her to hate her husband when I'm done with her. I want her to have nothing. Okay? Out walks a shorter white man with black hair doing the stompy dance. I thought, I've seen that walk. Where have I seen that walk? That's Agent John. They had showed up the agent over my case. He's no longer an agent. He's a former agent. With an opposing attorney telling it. Judge Lori was talking about him. There was an officer. They said she's the biggest liar. There was no one around her. The surveillance needs no one around her. Everyone wants to get even with her. And then some idiot behind another door had the right to do all those things to her. No, we didn't. See where I called the hotline. I have told you the story of how I cried my eyes out the next day. The phone's ringing. They had me so drugged up I couldn't answer it. Then I go to voicemail. So drugged up I couldn't even stand up straight. Doubled up, made it to the bathroom, to the refrigerator, got back in bed. Listen to the voicemail. Call me back. I can't. I fell back to sleep. Second day, not much better. Third day, made myself get up. Holding my head, I felt drunk, and I don't drink. What's wrong with me? They were drugging the hell out of me and keeping me drugged up. I got enough air in my face. I called one of my witnesses. She said she witnessed for me. Went down and bought a card, put that agent's number in it, and made an excuse to go to the mall. Went up to Apostolic Church of Barberton. He's up there telling on me. They said that on this April 19th, 25, that when I called the hotline, as soon as I hung up, they walked into an FBI office with their extortion plan. Their fraud scheme on the FBI. They thought they could fool him out of money. They said they paid that agent off. He took a bribe that day. That's why, and he took it the first day. Some of the officers thought it was an act. He's actually where they kept saying the guy running it. The terrorist act that happened here with all the human traffickers, selling of government technology, it was one of their federal agents running it from the FBI office. You want to hit levels are not funny. May 28th, 26th, Bob Evans in Fairlawn, he's the guy running it. He actually took a payoff the first day. Okay? Getting back to 18, where we go up to Paymer's after I drop off that card. Paul Paymer yells at Dave, my God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there. How dare you bring the FBI up here with threats on her life? I walk off. Girls walk up. He knows she's being drugged, beaten, raped. And he said he didn't care. And then strangers lie to cover up Tim and Katie. From 15 years before, she's going to be faking she was sick. When it was medical malpractice fraud, almost killed me. Okay? And if she's going to be mean to their women, now I already told the hotline, I had nothing to do with those people. I hadn't been a member of their church since 2003. They pushed my son to suicide. Okay? I only visited 2 times in 2011 when they were making up stories getting to a church. And I was with Dave. And I didn't go back. I have nothing to do with them. I have no phone numbers, no addresses. Then how would you know? Because this girl, Katie, she dates my brother-in-law, Tim. She is telling 3 people I know in the mall that it's them, all those attempts on my life. That's the only reason I know. So did he know they were lying? Absolutely. I had no contact with them. She's going to be mean to the woman. He's going to turn her back over to him. Can you imagine an agent saying that? Dave comes in, let's go. You call the FBI on me. I ought to kill you myself. Goes for a loaded gun. I put my hand on a council. Okay. He punches me all the way home. I almost jumped out on the highway. Ran from. Next day, I call that agent back. I tell him someone told on me. Okay. He calls me a liar. I tell him about a guy that threatened to knife me at Giant Eagle. He calls me a liar. Okay. I said, well, you tried to kidnap me before. And before I can say Terry Coberly seen him, he said, oh, come on now. Even if a church person seen him, they'd never verify it. He said, I met with that family in my office that lost their kid in the traffic accident. The one on March 27th, 25, had confessed to an FBI agent that they were all lying to the FBI when they were in that office. Didn't offend them, didn't even concern them. Lisa's father killed her kid, and she wasn't even there. They were just lying to help them get away with it. They were in there to extort money from the government. You know that. They wanted to trick them into giving them money. Open a case and hand them the money. Because Katie's mom's niece, Michelle, was dating Dave. Debt to drug dealers. And they were all in there to defraud the FBI. A fraud scheme walked into an FBI office and tried to scam the FBI. Okay? He said, I met with that family in my office, the one that lied, and all those church people that were lying. And I know they're trying to kill you. And he says, strangers lied to cover up Tim and Katie in 03 when Linda was following him and she got caught and they thought it was me and he made up that lie. Okay? And that was in 03. Here it is 15 years later. Have nothing to do with him. Okay? I said I really was sick before. You liar. He said, was there a camera above the bench or not? I don't know. You say you're lying, I'll arrest you. I'll come up and put you in jail. You hear me? I'll arrest you. And it's like, fine, whatever. Okay? He said, now I want you to say you were faking you were sick. Well, that's ridiculous. I almost died. I had 6 to 10 surgeries. My muscles clenched. Okay? They locked up. Went to a bunch of crackpots. They gave me wrong medications. My whole body swelled. I have degenerative joint disease in my knees. And with the extra fluid buildup on my legs, and it was under my knees. I even had a fluid fill cyst forming beside my knee. And I fell so hard one time, I had pulled a muscle along my knee. And I couldn't even bend my leg at one point. I was seeing an orthopedic surgeon. And he said, well, I can't just do simple knee replacements with you. He said with that degenerative joint disease, if the arthritis was spread into your bones, the screws and stuff could break your legs and your bones and they'll shatter them and you'll never be able to walk again. The easiest and the safest way is to put heavy braces on you. They'll hold your knees in place. And I'll get you a walker. I said, I want a walker, could I have canes? He said, as long as you don't fall with them. He said, and when you rebuild up the muscles and the tendons around your knees, they'll start holding your legs together. And he had to keep draining my knees, turkey-based fluid forming under my knees. And I mean, I went all over my body. I had heart attacks, seizures, thyroid, adrenal gland shut down. They were lying so bad, they even said I had level 2 brain tumors. And my community health told me how they were known for lying, falsely diagnosing people, ripping them off, making them sick, and getting kickbacks from the drug companies. To sue them, they encouraged us to sue them for years, even that they would go to court with me and help sue them to trouble the state to pull their license. And they said I wasn't even the first one they had heard of this. Okay? And I got with Dr. Eli. He agreed it was a medication making me sick, and the only thing was wrong with me is my muscles locked up. And over 9 months, I learned to walk again. And in the middle of me learning to walk again, once I got off the medication, within a month, my heart attacks and seizures stopped. Then thyroid and adrenal glands started working. And then I just had to deal with the massive body swelling and my muscles being clenched. They put me on fentanyl patches and muscle relaxers and breakthrough Vicodins. My muscles were so tight, they would clench and they would raise up through the skin like a baby's foot, and the blood vessels would break under the skin and blood would run down my leg or my stomach. You talk about excruciating, but yeah, it would literally push through the skin. The muscles would raise up into a knot. You could see them raise up, and the blood vessels would break and blood would just pour down. I have red freckles on my stomach and legs. Excruciating amount of pain. I have an MRI report showing the degenerative joint disease in my knees, the torn muscle beside my knee, fluid-filled cyst formed on the other side of the knee that was pushing the knee out of place, and fluid underneath both knees and swelling in both legs. Like somebody said, she had an MRI report with all that. Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's why once I got well, I used to walk all the time. I thought I never want to get sick again. Ever. Like I said, you'll have to maintain the muscle and the strengthening around your knees and the tendons tight, or your knees will start popping out of place again. Um, I always put it off that I'm klutzy, but it's because my knees just aren't quite right. Okay. And I started with Dr. Eli in September, October, November of 2002. By April, I'm almost well. May 3rd, 2003 was a traffic accident. I kept all my kids home. They were helping Dave replace some carpets in some bedrooms. And Brian had to show up and tell us how. Phil was one of the lead cars. He was speeding. He was going so fast. He didn't even try to stop for a stop sign, blew through a stop sign into a semi. And it was like an explosion, he said. Tyler got ejected through the air, slammed on the pavement, and Phil got ripped into pieces. I did a speed ratio. It takes 60 miles an hour just to lose one limb. He was probably doing close to 100 on the impact. It was like an explosion. It was our father's fault. I wasn't even there. I didn't finish getting well till July. Nothing to do with nothing. Okay. So for them to be in there helping with their family's tragedy from 15 years before, my son Danny was their son Tyler's best friend. And you think for the love of their memory of their son, that they wouldn't have hurt his best friend? His mother, for his father to have an 18-year-old crack-headed girlfriend. Because I sure wouldn't have done it to Lisa. If she would have went through all that, and if Dave's dad would have took Danny out, and my son would have got killed, and Ron was out cheating on Lisa with an 18-year-old, I sure wouldn't have took my family's tragedy and tried to kill Lisa. Turn around, it's really not funny, is it? And she had nothing to do with what would have been Danny and Dave's dad if that would have been our scenario. I wouldn't have done it to her, and I sure wouldn't have helped Ron cheat on her with an 18-year-old crackhead or try to frame her. Or to say we're offended because somebody idiot called her a faker. And think she lived through all that. I wouldn't have helped them. See, the difference of it is, I wouldn't have helped these people. I wouldn't have participated. You know, an investigator came up to me, you know why these people hate you? Because you're good. And everything you are, they're not. And they hate you because you're a good person. And they're not. I said, I don't have anything. It's not what you have. It's who you are. Okay? Now getting back to the record line. He said, I want you to say you're faking you were sick before. That's ridiculous. If I would have sued those doctors, they still would have been in jail. Okay? I said I really was sick before. Now, I met with that family in my office, the ones that March 27th, 25, admitted to an FBI agent. They were all lying to the FBI. Didn't even concern them. That March 20th, 26th in Walmart West Hosk. By the electronics, an investigator from 18. I haven't found one bit of this funny. Since that family that was saying that it offended him, that minister calling her a faker. Said that it didn't even concern them and they were all in there lying to the FBI. Yells it out. People were talking. Some rich family thought they could have her drug beat and raped. Okay. So we're going to go. And back to 18. He said, I want you to say you were faking you were sick before. That was a 4 or 5 year ordeal. You do realize that, right? I said I really was sick before. Now how he met with them, the big liars, and all the church people that were lying. He knew they were trying to kill me because the strangest lie that he had made up to cover up Tim and Katie when he thought I was following him. And it was Linda following her husband from 03. This is a 15-year-old baby lie. I said I really was sick before. He's like, you need to realize what you've done, and I don't blame him for trying to kill you. He actually said that. Conspiracy and attempt to murder are federal crimes of 20 years. Okay? You listen to the recorded line, it's horrible. Like investigator said, he actually talks to her that way. I said, I really was sick before. You say it or I'll leave you there. I said, but they've tried to kill me, Sam. They have tried to kill me. See, now he's already paid off. And then we're going to have a talk, FBI. What the hell are you doing letting people work for you that will take a bribe from a drug cartel, Nicole? What the hell? Are you allowing people in your agency that takes payoffs to let people be killed and sells technology to the cartel? You should have caught him years ago. So victims calling in for help are exposed to your corrupt agents. Like they said, those people should have been arrested the first day. Should have been arrested. Okay? He's like, you either say it or I'll leave you there. Da da da. Please don't let him kill me. Then say it or I'll leave you there. I'm like, fine, just don't let him kill me. Ah. March 5th, 26, down at the Bell store. Listen, they're sending out videos of him bullying her. And when he laughs at her, he sounds like pure evil. Satan possessed. They are showing up and saying he took a payoff. That agent that opened her case was with an opposing attorney in the courthouse. September 10th, 25. Calling our case fraud. Like people have said around me, he purposely didn't pay me, so it looks like the FBI is defrauding victims, stealing from the government. If they don't stop him, my friend Walter used to work at the prosecutor's office down in that county. They don't stop him, he can get the case thrown out. He didn't pay me. They don't call down there and say the case is legitimate and that agent got fired for this. Her case is very legitimate. And of course, we're going to pay her. We found out that idiot didn't even pay her. May have stole the debit card in her name. We'll take care of him. And pay me and stand up for the case. That's all they have to do. And then the drug dealers stay in jail. A few days ago down in Magnolia, girls were in the bathroom laughing, the Kingsmen are laughing, their drug dealers are ready to be released, and they're going to sue the government for millions of dollars each for false arrest under fraud. They better stop them. Okay. He said, why would the FBI help a person like you? Well, they're going to try to kill me, so they've tried to kill me. So the other agent said, well, we could always use Pete's tape of Weird with Yourself. That's disgusting. I don't even know who Pete is today. The only Pete I knew was my brother in Medina. I hadn't seen him in years, talked to him on the phone. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, well, something a mouse about him now, where they admitted they used hypnotic drugs on me August 4th, August 5th, August 7th, August 31st, 25, and December 1st, 25. Beginning of the case, they tried to lie. They had sodium pentothal reports, and they had the right to drug me to get the truth out of me, where they were drugging me up and telling me to say stuff. Okay? Now, I've never met him. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, well, I bet you're going to say you didn't know anything about the psychiatrist for sexual disorders of one of your brother. That's disgusting. At that point, I almost yelled out, why don't you quit lying? And then I thought, well, some other lady used my insurance for 15 years. Half my medical records are hers. I thought maybe it's one of hers. It's just a scam. He's laughing at me. Stop. You don't know. Give me a real reason. Well, my brother-in-law, Craig. He died working at the Pentagon under Dick Cheney. He was a private consultant for the FBI, unrestricted, did war weapons, spyware, and traveled the whole world. He said, have you talked to any law enforcement about threats on your life? I said, the only 2 officers I've ever talked to up here. And I call them either silly or stupid. In August of 18, I had a light in the security system at midnight. We only have 3 cameras on the outside. We have nothing on the inside. Front porch, back porch, side yard. There was a light at midnight. I called 911. They come out and they said it looked like an alien orb, angry spirit, and told me to buy a dog and let a dog handle it. They didn't want to bother. You're kidding, right? I said, no. Matter of fact, I've never even had my neighbors in my home. I've only had family repair guys and those silly officers. He said, is that what's going on? Do you know if Dave's cheating? I said, I've never caught him. He starts laughing. She said she never caught him. December 9th, 18. I taped Dave admitting I never caught him with anyone. So why is that funny? He said, I can take you somewhere and leave you with no money. I have no money to start. Well, if you agree to get information on Dave in the churches, I can open an informant case. And I said, I can do that. And he said, it comes with this much money a month. He said, I'm loading the money on a card. He said, you'll have a life of peace as an informant, nothing legally stated, dated against you again, and only for you would we ever do this for. We'll always put it back as if it never happened, and you can't be legally charged again for anything for working this case, and you have that money to live on. He said, but if you try to tell someone, I'll tell people you're crazy, the FBI won't help you. But if you need help, the chief of police is my best friend in Canton, and he always makes sure the Canton police protect you. What is a jail sentence for an FBI agent if he tells an informant that if they say something, they won't get their money? It is 20 to life. Freedom of speech. Only a judge in like a jury trial in our grand jury can put a gag order on you, only during the proceedings. We have a freedom of speech. No one can take it away but a judge during those 2 proceedings. Okay? No judge could sign a court order with that. They would go to jail. even criminal attorney, the prosecutor's office and police, and I Googled it, they would. It's blackmail, extortion out of government funds, a crime against the U.S. government, tampering with a witness, and obstruction of justice. And under the color of the law, no one can take another person's rights away. What is a jail sentence for an FBI agent if he tells an informant, if they say anything, that they won't have help and protection? It's attempted murder. It is tampering with a witness and obstruction of justice and aiding and abetting crimes. It's 20 to life. What is a jail sentence for a judge to sign any court order saying that? Same. They said no judge could sign it. They can't. And there's guidelines. It's for risking your life to get them information only. What is a jail sentence for an attorney if a husband hires him to set up button cameras in a private home, stalking his wife without her knowledge or consent? 5 to 20 years. Disbarment immediately. What is a jail sentence for an attorney if a husband hires him to set up button cameras in a home without stalking his wife without her knowledge or consent, taping in the bathroom, photoshopping like washing in the other room, having her drugged for fake confession, and being raped under drugs? Life in federal. Like they said, the way the laws wrote, these people were to be arrested the first day. What is a jail sentence for an opposing attorney to obtain your medical records without your knowledge or consent? 10 years. See, they can't have my medical records. They can't know anything of them. It is a federal crime. But these people are so dumb, they can't shut their mouths. These people laughed where I had all that medical fraud. Oh, they paid off a dirty doctor to write up she was insane before. Well, that's flat out fraud. Flat out fraud. Right on Google, years ago, they were saying stuff like that. Insanity and competency is not curable. Your brain is damaged. It takes a stay in a state psychiatric hospital. They get a hold of the courts. When you go into court, you have a right to an attorney to represent you, to argue your cause. We still live in the United States. And the judge has to find you incompetent or insane. It takes a judge, not a dirty doctor, you dumbasses. There you're being placed on Social Security disability, guardian and social worker until you have that competency hearing. And it is required by federal law. You are found competent and sane. Like investigators even said last year, the only way you can be insane and then fine is somebody flat out lied and it's fraud. That or it was medication-induced psychosis, where they give you drugs like LSD and makes you crazy. And then it's only temporary because of the drugs. You're not really insane because it's not curable. Your brain's damaged. Back in 24, investigators told people, this whole thing is stupid. She's never been in a state psychiatric hospital. She's never had a competency hearing, and she was never found insane. April 16th, 23. I had went to Danny on Christmas Eve of 20 to ask him if he knew about button cameras taping in the bathroom and shower scene in the other room where I had bruises all over me, throwing up and almost passing out, if they knew that people were having me drugged and beat and drugged and told to say weirdo stuff. They're laughing at me in front of people in stores. They didn't know anything. Kept going over and asking them questions. April 16th, 23, across the parking lot. Dan told Gabe, I finally went to Dad, asked him, what on earth is going on? See, they didn't know. Said he had hired some guy named Pete on his own. Just some guy. Was Pete and his men in her home before? Pete has her frame. Pete has her tape, the filthy, dirty statement. I've never met him. My rapist. Dave hired. See, it wasn't a doctor. Some rapist. See, that's where March 27th, 25, that federal agent that got out of that family, they also got it out of Dave that a girlfriend from before me was not one of mine, works for them, and they had lied. He was one of, oh, wait a minute. I got it out of Dave that a girlfriend from before me made him marry me so that he could get free insurance, and that he get a job at my dad's factory and he could give her extra money. The other woman using my insurance was one of Dave's girlfriends. My whole marriage was a scam. I had chest pains for days. He'd been scamming me my whole time. That's why after we got married, there was rumors of him cheating, of a heavyset white woman showing up at the factory. He's denying it, calling them liars. I tried to get my brother to get me proof. Then we started getting medical bills, not my name, tried to dispute them. We didn't have to show ID back then. I have my medical records. They got it out of Dave. That was his girlfriend. He was letting her use it, running up bills in my name. He also got it out of a Michelle that he was dating on a Rouge. That the doctor from before was not one of mine, works for them, and they had lied. He was one of my doctors. She actually doesn't know who he is. And when they bashed in her head, they tried to kill her, leave her incompetent, and it didn't work. April 17th, 25, Carl heard her having a girl meltdown about that guy breaking up with her. So she told him that, was screaming it, and she's parking lot, that she had called the police up there, and this is a different Michelle. She's real pretty. That they said, how dumb were you? Tell him that guy that the doctor from before was not one of hers, works for them, and they had lied. He was one of her doctors. And she actually don't know who he is. And when they bashed in her head, they tried to kill her, leave her incompetent. It didn't work. And as soon as I told that guy, he broke up with me, and I really liked him, and I wanted to marry him. Well, they started to threaten to kill that little girl. And I am so proud of her. She went badass. Badass. Her and her friends went badass. Every time they confessed to something, they went to investigators. December 1st, 25, Walmart 62, I still have it. An investigator came in, that Michelle was in his office. These people had confessed this whole thing was a scam to extort money from the government. Her ex-husband was involved. They all were. And that the doctor from before is not one of mine, works for them, and they had lied. He was one of her doctors. She actually doesn't know who he is. And that guy Pete running his mouth about her, she don't even know who he is. He's just some guy Dave hired on his own. And these people admitted to using hypnotic drugs on her when they drugged her and told her to say it before. She has no memory of those people. To me, do you realize what you people look like making fun of people that rapists are breaking in their homes, hiding, reaching out, stabbing them with hypnotic drugs? They thought they got bit or stung because you didn't think anybody would be in your home. You look back and it's like, what bit me? They've already ducked back. You go out and take a drink and you sit down. The room goes to Sam black, and hours later you got bruises, you're throwing up. The well water's orange, you've been showering in it, and you think it's giving you cancer. You never seen or talked to anybody, never had anybody in your home. And here rapists have broken in, drugged you up, and told you to say stuff, had you being raped under drugs. And that rapist is stalking you and photoshopping washing scenes, setting up a fraud scheme to take it, steal money from the government, running a con on you to get to them. That's how not funny this. And people make fun of me for some fucking rapist I've never met. Okay. That's where that Michelle told them they admitted to using hypnotic drugs on her when they drugged her and told her to say it before. She has no memory of those people. And the tape of Weird with Yourself is nothing but photoshopped her washing in the shower. The whole thing is a scam. Just to extort money from the government. But do they stop? No. Now there are other backup plan, like they said. That agent didn't pay her on purpose, so he'd be defrauding her. And for some reason, he doesn't think the FBI will step up. Where they, investigators, I even found the day and time where Officer Mark showed up and told the lady that I never lied to him. That they found out that I was left up there with no protection while the surveillance was going on. That they went through the surveillance and everything Karen said happened did happen. And everybody feels bad. And it was the drug cartel in her home. They seen him. They were in her home before. And it's documented and verified it was medication error that made her sick before, and another woman was even using her insurance. It's all been verified. He'd signed an affidavit to all that. So that should be in the case too. I found that day. But a couple days ago, I was down in Magnolia. I was in the Bell store, gas station. Girls were in there laughing in the bathroom. The Kingsmen are dying laughing. The FBI won't pay her little bit of money that they owe her. They won't stand up for the case they created. And all their drug dealers are getting ready to be released because they won't do that. And then they're going to sue for millions of dollars, and they're all about to be millionaires. Thousands will be released. From Judge Peters' group in Florida, 100 men, U.S. Marshals used my case. Got 800. Then there's Buffalo, New York, Michigan, California. Thousands will be released back into society. It will cost the government billions of dollars. And I talked to my friend Walter that used to work at the prosecutor's office. He said if the FBI does not intervene, call down that courthouse and say you are one of their informants, that case is legitimate, that guy got fired for his actions. And we found out that idiot didn't even pay Miss Harkless, and we're gonna we'll make sure she gets her pay. If they don't do those simple actions, he can get the whole case thrown out. They're planning to extort billions of dollars from the government, and it's going to happen. I have wrote the chief of police up there, the prosecutor's office, where they dropped off a file for Karen around the house, and the Stark County Sheriff's to get a hold of the FBI. And that it was that fired agent John in the courthouse trying to get him thrown out. They have showed up, and people have said that he is petitioning to get the surveillance thrown out, that there was no one around me, and called me a liar. that there's no need for surveillance. And the surveillance is what indicted all those drug dealers. Like they said, Karen never lied to us once. She called and reported only threats and attempts on her life. Had 2 Perry police reports of being followed and rented and attempted break-in. Dave making a mistake with telling the police that they knew where the security system was, and where his follow and ended it was a church person's Facebook friend. Okay. I also had attempted kidnapping, and then I don't even think I told them about the attempted carjacking. Told them about Katie telling 3 people in the mall that it was her church trying to have me killed. Okay. What did I report? Threats and attempts on my life. I was so drugged up, I thought the wild water was giving me cancer. I didn't know about any of these people. They kept me that drugged up. I went to leave one day in my home, and my eyes started crossing. Kept rubbing them, what's wrong with me again? And there was trees on both sides of the driveway, and the driveway was really wide. I couldn't see to get past the trees. I hit the tree. Scratched up my car. I couldn't see. Went back and lay down. What's wrong with me? They were drugging the hell out of me. Okay. Like they said, they opened a threat and attempted lie case for an FBI informant. It led into the drug cartel. Like they said, they had a unique thing. They had surveillance of how they treat their victims. They learned so much. Not only did they get people, but how they work with her case. And she was part of a really, really big bust. While all those drug dealers are getting ready to release. And that's what they were doing. The FBI has, like Walter said, they have to pay you. Because every case comes with pay. And they have to stand up for that case that was created. The original case was only a threat and attempt to lie case. I called and reported threats and attempts. That's what was open. I didn't get my money because that agent stole it. They need to go after him. He's a former agent. After that horrible phone call, a couple weeks later, Dave was threatening Dixie and the baby's life. I Googled it. I called down there, and I found him. He's got a list. I'm working on it. By January 19, I called down, and they said, Miss Hall, we're so sorry about everything. He's no longer with the FBI. We're so sorry about everything. May 28th, 26th, up in Bob Evans and Fairlawn, we were in there several times. Some ladies were talking. It really would have been something if this would have been an act. That agent acting like he's taking a payoff. And then act like he's going along with it, selling the government technology of the case, and then put a reverse malware on it so he could track the cartel. That would have been a wonderful scam on them. But unfortunately, he's this dirty. And he's the one that's been running it since the beginning. Where they walked in with their scam, they did pay him off. And he was running the scam for the cartels from an FBI office. So my question to you, FBI, what else can he sell him? You got him dead to rights. What is a jail sentence for a former FBI agent trying to get a case thrown out? 5 to 20 years. Like they said, they have him dead to rights working with them. More than likely, the debit card with my name on it. He took it. He stole a bank card from your agency. Someone has to pay me to seal the deal. You can't defraud victims calling for help and make your agency look like you're opening up cases and your agents are putting the debit cards in their pocket. and just getting the drug dealers or whatever and just defrauding people, letting them get harmed. Get the idea? You have to call down there and you have to stand up for that case. Get at the surveillance. You got the bastard. It's your own agent that got let go. He's been the one running the whole thing for the cartel. All those people that died. And now he's trying to get them released. Like Walter said, if they don't do what's right, all those drug dealers will walk. It's a simple action of pain. Do you realize 90% of the people in the witness protection program are criminals? Only, what, 5, 10%, 15% are victims? And they erase their whole past. They can never be tried for anything. They give them money and immunity for the rest of life and protect them for getting any kind of information. Like Walter said, you get paid for the rest of your life if you work 5 minutes of case, if you work the whole case. You stay in immunity the rest of your life and they have to protect you. Then I have a question for you, FBI. How could you let a monster from hell work for you like that? And expose them to victims calling for help? These people were to be arrested the first day. You have him. If you don't stop him, may God help us all. Back in 22, over 1,000 people in Ohio were human trafficked. The only thought of them died, or they never found them. It'll happen again. It will happen again. To keep those evil demons in jail, a simple action of paying a civilian employee. It is, like they said, the Kingsmen were laughing. The money the FBI actually owes her, they won't pay her. And because they won't pay her and they won't stand up for their own case, their drug dealers are going to walk, and then they're all going to be millionaires when they sue them for false arrest under fraud because they defrauded her. Someone needs to pay me. Call down that courthouse, get their surveillance, arrest that stupid former agent and everybody with him. You know, I had some idiot pull up and some guys on think, I finally have a meeting with. See, they're so dumb. They walked into an FBI office. If they would have got an agent with integrity, they would have arrested him on the spot. December 20th, 25. Around that day, I'm paying my rent. I'm in a bank where I pay my rent. And a guy comes in and said the police that work her case said they were never interested in her. A drugged up, beat up rape victim? No. A running con? No, they were not. They said that since 18, they're never interested in me. Said they're interested in some guy saying he's a doctor. He's in it with an extortion group. That he's drugging up his patients, telling them to say stuff, and having that extortion group either get him in trouble or steal money from him. What's really not funny with her, she said she doesn't know who he is. And these people are saying they lied he was one of her doctors, that they just hired him to drug her up. That's how not funny this is. They want to find out, well, what other patients is he in it with this extortion group? That he's drugged up his patients, told them to say stuff, and then had those people try to extort money out of him. Reality check of what they're doing. Dave said it was just some guy he hired on his own. not a doctor. I'm going to upload this.